What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Vinland Saga, Season 2, Episode 11. Honestly, at this point, I have no idea what to expect. I mean, we got that fantastic like two-part episode with Thorfinn's character, and then the next episode, which was the previous episode, we got the development with Canute. So now it's only a matter of okay, which character are we gonna focus on in this episode, right? That's pretty much it, right? These two are our main players around this vast world of Vinland Saga, right? We have Thorfinn and then we have Canute, two opposites that kind of complement each other in terms of like their progression, their development, and of course like their what each of those characters represent thematically speaking, right? I guess I guess we're gonna have to like continue with Kettle's story, I would say, because in the previous episode, Kettle was supposed to go to King Harold, and then of course King Harold dies. So, what's gonna happen to the farm, right? Will Canute accept Kettle's yearly offerings or not, right? Because Harold is the one that is basically keeping the farm safe from any outside forces, but Harold's out of the picture now. So, yeah, conflict ensues, which is the problem that I the problem that I said, right? This is the conflict that can emerge that will connect Thorfinn and Canute together again, right? Canute will probably bring war to Thorfinn, and that's how they're gonna connect again, right? At least that's my guess. That's like the obvious route. But this is Vinland Saga. Anything can happen, right? So who knows? Get your copies of Vinland Saga ready. Of course, we're gonna be using a timer-based reaction as usual. Hello, Sujal. Forgot to say, but hello, and everybody who's in chat and anybody who's watching the VOD. Hello. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below if you have anything you want to say. Anyways, hope all of you have your copies of Vinland Saga ready. As usual, timer-based reaction. There's gonna be a 5-second countdown. Once it hits 0, I press play, you press play, and we should all be in sync. If you don't like timer-based reactions, there is a full picture-in-picture version in the description below, but only after the stream is over. Wait a couple of hours for me to to edit and upload that, but it is in the description below. Anyways, hang on. Oops. Okay. Episode 11. The penultimate episode before the exact mid season, English mid season. So, what are we gonna do? Countdown starts now. Wait, hang on. Audio is not working. Okay. Actual countdown starts now. Oh. Kings and swords. Okay, we're following Canute again. Wolf. Whoa, the detail in that armor, though. Yeah. Hmm. Estrid. Yeah. But looks can be deceiving. Yeah. Now, what I'm curious is, has Canute ever killed someone with the sword? He's killed a lot of people, but it's usually through other means, right? Not necessarily the sword. So I'm curious to know if he's ever done that. Ashkalat being like the only exception, right? But we know how he feels about that. Hmm. Hmm. Distraction. Yeah. Cunning is what the show is trying to sell to tell us, right? Cunning, clever, traits of Ashkalat. Hmm. The way he throws away the sword. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like it, does he? Still not used to it. Hmm. Ah, here we go. Yeah. Olmar. Hmm. But like I said, right? Trouble. trouble arising from the outside. Mm-hmm. Oh. Right, you gotta balance it out. The problems of maintaining a really large empire. Yep. Mm. This is the conflict. Well, that's not gonna happen. Yeah. Kings are like swords. And yet he throws his sword away, right? How long are we into into the episode? 8 minutes? Now we're getting the opening? You read the manga, it gets really well progressed. And it gets really well progressed arc up to the end of the arc. Well, yeah. I would assume so, considering manga readers have been hyping up this arc, and so far it's been surpassing high expectations. Canute, though. Yep, here we go. Hmm. An unlucky timing, yeah. Kettle's trying to see if he could, yeah, if he could persuade Canute, but I don't think that's gonna happen. We know Canute's We know Canute would not be bribed with money, right? He's not a child, but yeah, he's still childish in a way. But at the same time, you do need to let him go and be his own person, right? It's gonna be a kid. It's gonna be a kid. No? Well, kind of. Hmm. Oh, he can hold it now. Look at how pompous he is. These two. Yeah, yeah. Kettle is too kind. But of course, bribery. What the fuck? Since when? Nice to meet you again, Leaf. Adopted son? Perhaps? Yeah, exactly. I was I was just about to say that he looks kind of like Thorfinn, but I'll wait and see how the episode goes before I dive deeper into it. Oh, you have no idea, Leaf. Hmm, that expression. Asking his physical appearance? Ah, Hmm. His expression just changes dramatically. Yep, yep, yep. This is a like a chance encounter that like no other. Yeah. Yeah, about a week, right? Mm. Here we go. No, he's not after your gifts. He's after something else. Mm-hmm. No, Kettle's not gonna like this. The skull belt. Yeah. Hmm. But there's always a but. This is basically proof for for Canute, right? To see the quality and such. Oh no. Yeah, I saw that coming. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Olmar, you're not right in the head. Let him be. Yeah. Yeah. Kings and swords. Interesting. Olmar. Just just stop. Yeah. Just yeah. I don't think you've even hit the bones yet. Man, poor kettle, man. Canute did say that he wants soldiers, right? Ultimately, I would say it's not about their strength, but it's about their resolve. Oh. Hmm. The lighting in this, though. Right. Blind obedience. Yeah. I'll do whatever I say. I'll do whatever you say. You know. Probably gonna let him do some dirty work. The eye. The scar, I mean. Mm-hmm. It's all about appearances. End of the episode? End of the episode. We're setting up. We're basically setting up the second half of season 2, right? The first half we settle in with the characters and their inner conflicts. Second half of season 2, I would feel like they're gonna explore more of the outer conflict, right? All of these characters basically have their resolve um, faced or what have you, right? With Thorfinn and Canute having their like true objectives, their true paths be treaded. So now it's a matter of okay, when are they gonna cross paths? That's the outer conflict. And given that these two once again complement each other in terms of like their opposing ideologies and their opposing um, beliefs, it just adds another layer to the conflict. All right, I'm gonna pause. Not gonna watch the preview. Fantastic episode. Mm. Fantastic episode. Hang on. Boom. Since Mappa did justice for Vinland Saga, Mappa might make an anime on Vagabond. Ooh, I haven't read Vagabond, but I really want, like, Vagabond is like, you know, it's amongst, it's one of those mangas basically that is like really hard to adapt. But Vinland Saga being, you know, also amongst those groups, and look at it now, yeah, I would. I would watch a Vagabond anime adaptation, even though I haven't really read the manga, but because of like how critically acclaimed it is, I would totally be down for it. Should this be the last episode with these opening and ending because we're halfway through the season? We're not halfway yet. Villain Season 2 is 24 episodes, is it not? Yeah, it is 24 episodes. The halfway point should be next week, which is episode 12. But man, fantastic episode. Following more of Canute, and okay. First of all, Canute's like outfit, his wear, this armor that he has. Let me mute. But this armor that he has, like, there's a lot of detail in that armor, right? A lot of the scales and the not scales, but I forgot the name of it. But like, you know, the paddings and all that stuff. It's one of the it's these really highly detailed designs that makes stuff like Berserk, Vinland Saga, Vagabond, well, not really Vagabond, but like Kingdom, I would say, you know, these armors that has like really highly detailed, you know, outfits to them and such, and accessories that makes it really super hard to animate in 2D unless they strip them down and make them simplistic. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, like some of those mangas are really hard to adapt, because like it's really hard to adapt and animate all of that, and just drawing them one by one in consistency. That's why they tried to use CGI with Berserk, and that ended up terribly. But in their minds, that's, you know, the reason why they use CGI for Berserk is because, again, a lot of the armors and everything are really super highly detailed, right? So seeing this, even if it is just for a couple of seconds, is really appreciative. But what I do want to talk about is Canute's character and how he sort of takes on like some of Ashkalad's like demeanor a lot, right? The cunningness of it, right? Distracting the enemies, right? Hey, look at that, right? Like all that is traits of Ashkalad, right? This conniving and, you know, intelligent character that knows how to win a fight when he is physically at a disadvantage, right? Canute's not a true. He's not a warrior, right? I mean, we saw like what Canute looks like in season 1. Obviously, there's a major change between season 1 and season 2, but still, right? Canute's origin isn't that of a warrior, but that of, you know, the son of a king that isn't really into war and politics and stuff, and he only got thrusted into this world because of, you know, outside circumstances, right? So it is really fun and fascinating to see like Canute taking on that side of Ashkalad, this side of, you know, the conniving political mastermind. You know, again, what Ashkalad wants from Canute, right? He wants Canute to be like this leader, right? He sees Canute as you know, as like the king that will save the world and all that stuff, right? With the legend of Artorias and such, which is kind of, you know, again, the fact that Canute also said the same thing to Ashkalad, right? Why not you? You fit you fit to be a king. Like, why don't you lead? Why don't you just take the crown? And Askeladd, obviously, denies that and declines, right? I don't want to be king, like, I'm looking at him. Because Askeladd sees Canute as somebody who is better than him. So once again, seeing Canute sharing some of the traits of Askeladd and seeing where he is now kind of shows how influential Askeladd is to both Canute and Thorfinn, right? I feel like both of these characters once again kind of take different different sides of Askeladd, right? Canute with again the cunningness of Askeladd, but then you got Thorfinn, who I would say got like Askeladd's true self, his true intentions, right? Because of what we saw in the dream, that is who Askeladd truly is, right? This character who actually cares and loves. Well, love is a strong word, but but this character who cares and wants Thorfinn to grow up and become stronger and become a true warrior, right? And to fight his own battles and be free and, explore the world and all that stuff, right? So again, love that element. But here's where things get interesting. It's how Canute just throws away the sword. I asked this during the reaction. Don't answer, obviously. It's a rhetorical question. But has Canute ever killed someone with a sword? Aside from Askeladd. Askeladd is his first ever kill. And even that is kind of debatable, considering Askeladd's the one who helped Canute thrust his sword towards him, right? It's not of Canute's own doing. It's like Askeladd is pushing Canute to do it, right? So has he ever killed somebody else with the sword? He's killed multiple people afterwards, yes, but most of them, at least the ones that I see, at least the ones that the show is telling us, are not directly through the sword. It's through somebody else, poisoning, right? Behind the scenes stuff. Not exactly with his own like sword and blood, right? It's more of an indirect kill. So why the disrespect to the sword? I feel like Canute just doesn't like it as much. Again, I could be wrong, but from my own interpretations, it feels like Canute is still, Canute basically checks everything from the checklist except for the sword part. Like everything, yes, he's he has become the polar opposite of the Canute that we first met, except for perhaps his disdain of the sword and killing. Again, I could be wrong because we have not actually seen it, but because of the fact that we have not seen Canute do such a thing, except for Askeladd, and the fact that he just threw away the sword, it just gives me that vibe of there's this side of Canute that just don't like this at all, and he's only doing this for, again, like appearances, right? He is skilled at it. He's cunning. He knows how to use it, but I just don't feel like he's ever killed one before with the sword. Which makes this line, where is it? Was it here? But it was the line where Canute said, like paraphrasing, but a king is like a sword. There it is. Kings are like swords. This makes it all the more interesting to me, because if I were to believe my own words, right, where Canute has this disdain towards swords, and him throwing it away, only using it for appearances. This line kind of again gives this level of complexity to Canute's character, because it feels like Canute is, he doesn't like himself. Not entirely necessarily, considering the context of the previous episode, right? He is willing to take on the burden of of the crown, right? This curse of the crown, right? And become a better person than his dad or whatever. But at the same time, he realizes and he learns, why his father, King Swain, does all of those things, because he's doing it himself, right? He is basically doing what King Swain is doing, but in his mind, it's just a different belief, a different reason, a different justification to it, right? But ultimately, it's like a very similar situation, right? I kill people, I pillage people, I murder my opposing force, right? It is fascinating. I wonder if I'm right or wrong about this, but again, own interpretation up to this moment. It will be interesting to see like how this will play out. But yeah, what do you think? What do I think? How Canute will react if he meets Thorfinn again? I would say there. I would say for Canute, it's like a shock of like seeing Thorfinn again. But when it comes to, I think Thorfinn would have a more knee-jerk reaction to meeting Canute, considering like who Canute is to Thorfinn, right? This person who killed Ashkelad and took and took him away from him. But at the same time, because Thorfinn already has the resolve of like not killing other people and stuff, I feel like Canute's presence will be like the first true major challenge for Thorfinn to overcome, right? His desire to enact revenge on Canute and such. Thorfinn would be fighting himself when he meets Canute. If he meets Canute, that is. Cut to the opening. King Harald passed away? Impossible. Now, Olmar is... I don't hate Olmar. I think Olmar's a fun addition to the show. He is quirky, maybe slightly what's the word I'm looking for? Out of place, but it adds this small little levity towards like the world of Vinland Saga, which I'm fine with. Also, what the fuck is going on with your faces? Hello? But yeah, Olmar having this pompous, you dare challenge me? I have a sword. Come at me. Without ever actually killing somebody and using that sword, which again parallels to Canute. If that is the case with Canute, right? Because if it's not, then it's not really a parallel. But I would like to imagine that it's really intentional, with right, given with like the parallels and given with why we have Olmar here and why we have Canute here as well. Because again, it's a matter of appearances. It's a matter of people who are using the sword or violence, quote unquote, or a sign of power to basically undermine the weak, right? Saying like, I am stronger than you, without actually using the sword, without actually knowing, like the meaning behind the sword. So it feels hollow, it feels empty inside. Like yeah, you look strong, but are you strong on the inside? I think it presents a very interesting, like, thematic element to Vinland Saga. Especially if you are to compare this to Thorfinn, right? The person who isn't using a sword, who doesn't want to, want to resolve with violence, who doesn't want to showcase that he is in power, but his presence is powerful. Same thing with Thor's. His presence is powerful. Not because of the sword, not because of his position, not because of his status, but because of who he is, because of who he represents. Do you think Canute has to do something with Hal's death? Did the previous episode not allude to that? I'm confused. I thought the previous episode explicitly and perfectly told the audience that that is what Canute wanted. Canute even talked to the ghost of his father or whatever, right? Like his intentions. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if Canute killed Harold or not. His intentions remain the same, and that is he wants Harold out of the picture. Like ultimately, it doesn't really matter if Canute really killed his brother or not. Like if his brother died of natural causes because he felt sick, or because he was poisoned. Regardless, it changes nothing about Canute's character, because Canute's because Canute's main objective is to get Harold out of the picture in one way or another, and he succeeded in that regard. But yeah, going back to appearances, right? The showcase of power. Enter Kettle. Not using swords or anything, just his presence alone already extrudes power over Olma, right? What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing with that sword? What are you doing? Olmar can't really do anything about it, right? Because one, that's his dad, and two, like he still has some respect towards his father, even though time and time again we see Olmar not really wanting to, not really seeing eye to eye to his father, right? But it's always this, it's always a subconscious level of respect to your elders. Enter Leaf. When I saw the bald head, I was like, no way. This is too much of a coincidence. But there he is. Now, when I learned that this person is named Thorfinn, bells started ringing in my head, kind of like, oh no, is what's Leaf doing? Is he trying to find, like, did he name him Thorfinn because he's, you know what I mean? Like there's something weird about it, but no. They both realize it. They both know what the situation is. I feel like it was just mere coincidence that this person was also named Thorfinn, and I feel like Leaf may have, a level of sympathy for him to adopt him. Because at first I thought Leaf would, name this person Thorfinn because he is an orphan or whatever, and doesn't really have a name. Or maybe that is the case. Maybe Leaf did name him Thorfinn, but either way, my initial assumption was way worse, right? Thinking that Leaf is doing this, for his own sanity, and for him to comfort his own heart of, like losing Thorfinn and replacing him and all that stuff, like all of these like crazy shit that is happening in my head. But no, just a coincidence that his name is Thorfinn, regardless whether or not Leaf did name him that or not. But the important thing is, both of them knows the situation. This Thorfinn knows that Leif is looking for another Thorfinn. Leif still hasn't given up on Thorfinn. Great on him. Right? Because again, like if that wasn't the case, I would be very upset and it would feel wrong, but it's not the case, and I'm feeling very much relieved. But this is a very, it's this is like the chance encounters of chance encounters. Like, what are the odds? But it gives Leif enough information to search for Thorfinn once again and go to Kettle's farm, which presents a new kind of conflict, and that is if Leif does end up going to Kettle's farm, if he ends up meeting Thorfinn, real Thorfinn, in Kettle's farm, he's gonna take him away, right? That's like what he wants. Obviously, he needs to convince Thorfinn first, but here's the other conflict, right? Thorfinn is busy with the farm. He, I would say, has made the farm his home, right? He has friends there with Einar, Old Man Sverkel looking out for them as well, right? And now with Canut's external problems seeping into the farmland, going to make Kettle's farm essentially, in a terrible and worse state than it is right now because of what Canute is about to do. It gives Thorfinn again the incentive to actually help the farm, right? He wants to help the farm. He wants to cultivate the lands. He wants to, help his friends, help his family, right? His current family there. But then you enter Leif. What if he meets them? He meets him and asks him to leave. Come with me, Thorfinn. Let's go to Vinland and stuff. Sure, obviously Thorfinn wants that, but maybe not right now. You know what I mean? Like, wait a little longer, right? Because that's like the other conflict that may arise. So I'm really curious to see how Leif and Thorfinn's like dynamic will develop into in the future. Because I feel sorry for Leif because he's been looking for Thorfinn for like how many years now, and he almost had him by the end of season 1, but then Thorfinn, got away again, and now he's still searching for him after all of these years, and when he finds him again, the sad and hard thing is Thorfinn is probably gonna reject him and say no. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how these two will develop in the future. I think Canute would become the main antagonist of the story. The curse of the crown would take over him and he would eventually become like his father. I don't consider Canute as an antagonist, even if that is the case. Because Canute, again, I made a comment in one of my video reactions of Vinland. I think it was I think it was last week, but I mentioned, paraphrasing, that Vinland Saga is a story about two sides. One side that focuses on how to achieve your goals through peace, and the other side is how you achieve it through war, right? Representing Thorfinn and Canute respectively. And you know how the saying goes, you can't have peace without war, and you cannot have war without peace. So again, like, I wouldn't consider Canute to be an antagonist. He will fill in, the villain's role, or the antagonist's role, whatever you want to call it, right? As an opposing force to Thorfinn's peaceful life, but I wouldn't consider him to be an antagonist, right? He would fill in the role, but I wouldn't say that he's an antagonist, right? I wouldn't. There is no antagonist in all of Vinland in my eyes, except for maybe King Swain, because that's like the only character where most of our main cast are against. But when it comes to Canute, I feel like, some characters would still probably go behind him, follow him. But again, it's a matter of perspective and a matter of which side are we focusing on at the moment, right? Because if an episode is focusing on Canute, then Canute is the main character, obviously. But if an episode is focusing on Thorfinn, then Thorfinn is obviously the main character. They're the two. Thorfinn is the main character. Canute is like a Deuteronomist secondary main character. But yeah, at least so far, I don't know what Canute is gonna do in like the next season or two, and I don't want to read the history books because that would be spoiling myself of his exploits. But I do hear that Canute, in history at least, like history, Canute is not a very good person. Imagine it is a man in Cleveland. And again, this part also, I was kind of curious because like Canute is telling Olmar what to do with the store, but at the same time, I wonder if Canute has ever done this as well. Again, like things that I'm thinking about at the moment. But of course, obviously, Olmar can't do it, but he has the resolve, and that is what all Canute needs. Great lighting in this shot, by the way. Love it. Just the warmth of it all. The single fire. The quill and ink. Knowledge. Representing Canute, right? Knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is key. The coronation hasn't happened yet. But they must pay the price as he touches the scar, right? That reminds him of King Swain. So many things happening. I cannot wait to see more. Where do you think the story will go at the end of this arc? Well, I mean, I don't know yet because yeah, I don't know yet. We have like no information to. I have no information to go on because currently we're still developing and setting up the arc, right? We're still setting up the arc basically. Like we're not even done with the setup yet. We're still setting up the arc right now. We're setting up the second half of the arc, which is Kettle's farm being requisitioned, right? Again, the external conflict that will be introduced to the farm and the main story in general, and how Canute and Einar will face that problem. I would say this. I mean, if I'm judging this and basing this off of the story's structure and how these types of stories would usually go, I would say by the end of this arc, Thorfinn and Einar would be free. Right? That is the goal that was set in the beginning of the season, right? In the beginning of the first episode, right? Cultivate the land and you will be free men. I feel like by the end of this arc, they could be free, right? Because that's like what we set out, and obviously we need to resolve that. because ultimately at the end of the day they need to go to Vinland regardless of the situation, right? So yeah, they're gonna be free men. There's gonna be a lot of sacrifices along the way. There's still a couple of characters that we haven't met from the teaser from like the season 1 finale, right when we were shown all of those other characters and those locations as well. One of which I would assume to be a Native American, the one scribbling in the sand and stuff. If any of you guys remember that, so yeah, obviously, Thorfinn will need to go. I would say Thorfinn will end up leaving with Leif, but it's gonna take a long journey to get there. Like Leif's first, if Leif gets to Kettle's farm in the next like 5-10 days, what they describe, and then met Thorfinn, I would say Thorfinn would deny it first, and not deny, but reject it first, decline the offer, and wants to help with the farm. And then probably by the end of the arc, they're gonna meet again, and then they're gonna set off to Vinland. And I think the next arc will be, where they actually go to Vinland. I don't know. That's like how I would imagine the story would go, structurally speaking. But yeah, that's the end of the stream. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you have anything else that you want to say, then let me know in the comment section down below. Once again, picture-in-picture version is available in the description below as well. Give it a couple of hours if you're just watching the stream right now, or if you if it's not available yet, but it will be. Yeah. They can go to Vinland, or maybe they could create a new Vinland, since Vinland is not just a place, it is a definition of freedom and peace. Well, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, obviously they will go to physical Vinland, but symbolic Vinland is another place, right? I mean, Thorfinn's dream, I would consider to be Vinland, right? Because that is how Thor described Vinland to Thorfinn. That is how he views Vinland, because that is how that is the only information that he knows, right? Anyways, thank you all so much. See you all next time. Take care. Have a nice day.